All right, yo, what's up? It's your boy D Starks.
Starks Artist.
You're now tuned in to the Just Different podcast where we talk everything faith, life, and culture. We're back.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah.
One last time.
You feel me?
If you haven't heard, and you may be seeing now by the title of this episode, this is the last episode of Just Different. We made an episode earlier this month. Well, actually, it was last month, earlier in June, basically talking about kind of what's happening with us, the transition that's taking place, how we're evolving, what's next for the show, each of us individually, and really just giving you all a life update. And some of you all may have missed that. So this is going to be like the beginning of this is going to be like the synopsis of kind of what we were talking about. But yes, this will be the last ever episode of Just Different. And as sad as it definitely is a transition that's needed, and also one that we're so excited to take part in. This is a conversation me and Jordan have been talking about really for the last year and a half, and this comes on the back end of just really understanding what's next for us, where God is leading us, and realizing that Just Different has always been a stepping stone for each of us. We really didn't know what that next step was going to be or look like, but we knew that this definitely wasn't the end with what God wanted to do with us. And this was really just training ground in a sense of where he wanted to take us. And it was interesting because our mom, who was like our official business manager to some degree, she came to us and was telling us that.
Yeah.
She was sitting us down and having conversations and asking us the hard question of, okay, like, what's next? And where is this going to go? And making sure that we were having those conversations to know what it looks like to transition well out of not just being like brothers, but of course, like, you know, hosts, you know, co-hosts and business partners and everything in between. And so, yeah, that's really what this is. That's really what this is, and like what led up to everything. Like, and it's so interesting because we had mentioned this in the episode that we kind of gave the update, but there's no beef. Like,
yeah,
there's no hostile ground. Like, after this, we're gonna literally end, as we always do, the podcast, turn off the mics and the camera. He's gonna go upstairs and live 10 steps away from me, and that's not gonna change for a while. There's no bad blood or anything. And honestly, our mom told us this, and I'm really glad that we're able to even be a representation in this sense. But people need to see what it looks like to transition well,
right?
Because typically when things dissolve, whether it be a platform, a partnership, or a group, it's not necessarily positive, and people don't see that aspect of it and what it looks like to evolve with love from someone. And so that's really what this is. This is like evolving and doing it in love and in obedience to where God wants us next. And so, yeah, that's really what it is. We'll talk about it a little more. But yeah, so just so you all know what's next, and I'll let Jordan get into it, but Jordan's really going to be going deeper into like his music and where and that aspect of his journey where God's taking him. And for me, I'm going to continue podcasting, stepping more into ministry to some degree, and really just kind of like taking this on. I'm going to have a new show. It's still going to be hosted here, like on our YouTube channel and on this podcast feed, but it's going to have a new name, new brand, new feel, same idea of just like getting us closer to the heart of Jesus. Right. But that's kind of what's next. And before we get into anything else, the best way that you can support us, or the last ask, honestly, is one, we just recently came back from Tanzania, Africa, where we climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. This mountain that we've been talking to y'all about for 3 months. Yeah. We actually did it.
We did it.
And it was an amazing experience. We not just climbed the mountain, but while we were there, the organization we were with, we got to see the work that they're doing on the ground with the people of Tanzania, and it was nothing short of life-changing. And so we've come back with a whole new passion and vigor for that partnership that we had before, but like just been reignited to like the 10th degree. And so we're still raising money to build 4 homes in the area. And so, yeah, that's the big ask. Yeah. Like if you love us and have loved what we've done the past 3 years at this point. Definitely pouring so into good ground. Not even for us. We don't see anything from that.
Right.
But just to help the people of Tanzania build those homes. The link will be in the description. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing would be sign up to the Patreon that we have. Jordan will still be a part of that,
You know,
in and out of some Bible studies or whatnot. I'll be taking lead and taking over with that. But sign up. Even if it's just for, even if it's just your email and the free plan, just sign up so you can stay updated with what's next and what's going on, and kind of what I'll be doing with this new show and what's next. But that's pretty much it. So that's what's happening. Those are that's the 2 things that we're asking for, and that's it. So I don't know if you want to talk a little more about what's next for you.
Yeah, no,
I mean to hold the mic like that. But just wanted them to know what was up.
No, for sure. Just not going too much into depth, but like you said, I think it really was placed on my heart at the beginning of this year to go deeper with my music. It just felt like one of those, I had this gift, I had this thing, and I was kind of just putting it to the side, and I wasn't nourishing it, I wasn't taking care of it. I wasn't giving it the attention it deserved, and I just felt like this huge burden. I honestly, very similar to the burden that I felt when we started the podcast. You know, when we had the YouTube channel. For those of y'all who don't know the story, we had a YouTube channel before the podcast. We took a break, and then we both, after a while, after 2020, we both felt this burden on our hearts to revamp it as a podcast. And I felt that same burden about my music at the beginning of this year. I went on Instagram, made some videos about it, dropped a project. It's titled MIA. Essentially just saying it's time that I pick this up type of thing. So yeah, I think I'm excited for what this looks like. It kind of always felt like something that was just in the background, just because I had so many different things I had my hands in. You know, I had the podcast, job. I'm in and out of school at some point. It was a lot going on. But now having, undivided attention towards that, I'm just excited. I'm excited to see what it looks like and being more consistent with that and making content and diving into that. So yeah, that's what that looks like.
So third thing, make sure you follow Jordan.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, let's add that to the list to ask, man.
The third eyes.
Follow me on Instagram _Jordan Starks.
Just to stay updated with him there, and y'all won't be seeing a shortage of us still together to some degree in a lot of capacities, but. Yeah, that's kind of what's happening now, and that's what's going to be taking place next for both of us, which we're excited about. I know Jordan can speak to this. It's nerve-wracking. It is a lot of anxiety to some degree of the unknown, of having a lot of questions about what it's going to look like, knowing this is supposed to be the step, but not knowing what's on the other end of it.
Right.
But even from our experience with doing the podcast, the other side of yes has been nothing short of a blessing. Exactly. And there being grace, mercy, and just love on the other side of that, especially knowing that God's in it. And so definitely be praying for both of us in that, and just keeping a lookout. But for this episode, with this being the last kind of hoorah and kickoff, what I really wanted to do was, one, I wanted to start with talking about our favorite moments of the past 3 years, the biggest lessons that we've learned, and then also toward the end of this, talk about our experience in Africa. We just came back literally last week, a week ago. We're recording this on Tuesday, and so that's kind of how this is gonna go. Going to be a little longer than what it typically is, but we got to do it.
We got to. It's necessary.
It's gonna be Joe Rogan on this. But this is what I will say, because I'll start, right?
Go ahead.
And you all can think about you all's favorite moments. If there was an episode, different things that you felt like you learned or take away from what we said, kind of as we go through this. But I was thinking about this before we got started and we're recording this, and if this episode had a title, or if this was a sermon, it would be called The Other Side of Yes. And it's because whenever I was in Africa, this is one thing that I felt that I heard as we were climbing the mountain. It's something that was reiterated, I kid you not, 15 minutes before we started. And it's the fact that what God was showing me then while I was in Africa, and as I was thinking about the last 3 years, is it really represented this. And it's the fact that this is what I can do when you say yes. Mm-hmm. In the sense of whenever we give our yes to God and he has our heart, our complete obedience, this is where I can take you. Mm. This is the lengths that it can go. Yeah. This is the doors that it will open when my hand is on it and you're following my will. And if there's anything you take from this particular episode as we kind of go through all of this, it's one thing that we talked about in one of our very first episodes. It's do it anyway. Mm-hmm. I feel a lot of us live gravely below our potential and what God's put inside of us due to fear, doubt, insecurity, low self-esteem, hopelessness. And we miss the other side of yes because of it. Yeah. And I do believe it grieves God, our inaction for whatever reason. And he wants to call us out of that, of the limiting beliefs of what was, of what can be, of what is, and really push us into the future. And so, yes, this would be called the other side of yes. The other side of yeah. And so when I was thinking about that idea, the other side of yes, my favorite moment, I think, when it came to, there's so many, but when it comes to the show is, I remember, well, one, I feel like the podcast has literally brought me everything in my life that is good. And that absolutely amazing has in some way, shape, or form come from the vehicle of the show. Now, God was orchestrating it. It wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, he was a source, but he used this to be the vehicle to bring that into my life. And one of those things was the friendships that I have. My best friends, shout out to John, Eric, Jordan, Seth, like the Cove, Shem, Aaron, Bats, like my guys, my people, among so many other relationships that I've been able to build, has come by way of this show. And so one of my favorite moments was 2022. We went to Passion in Atlanta, Georgia, and it was when we met them. Yeah, the Diggs brothers specifically, along with a few other amazing young men. And from that, just having that relationship, it changed my life. And I think that that's such a representation of just the other side of yes. Exactly. And that's not like a specific like episode moment or anything like that, but just that kind of a subsequent consequence of all of this was that. And I also was thinking about with that, I remember on Instagram, I can't remember when, but it was maybe not too long after we met them, we would go on live together. So me and Jordan and I would go on live on Instagram, and I think I don't know what we were doing. Maybe we were just trying to just stay consistent, connect with people like week in and week out at some point. This was 2022. Yeah. And one time there was one live, bro. It was so lit. I don't even know what was going on. So it'd be Jordan and I, and it would be like all of our friends. So John, Eric, Jordan, Seth.
You feel me?
And they would come on and we do it together. And there was one live where I don't know how, but it turned into like a could have been records moment. Like the lives that Drewski does where he gets like the prison mates and all these crazy people. We didn't have nobody in prison to come on the live, but we had people basically, I don't know why or how it started. We had people come up and join the live and basically like share their hidden talent, like whatever talent it was like a talent funny, show. Man. I think we called it was like never would have made it. So yeah, people coming on, they were singing, rapping, poetry, and some of it was actually like fire. Facts. Like it actually blew us away, and it was so unsolicited and so crazy. Yeah, but like I'll always remember that was such a moment. And it was nice to share that, not just with them, but like with you all too. Some of y'all listening may have been on that live and know what we're talking about.
I hope y'all was tapped in, man.
That was definitely top 5. And I do also remember, and this is my last one, because they all connected, I feel like, is it was either that live, I believe it was that same live or another one, but we had Caleb Gordon come on and join the live, and we were able to talk to him for a little bit, and then that live kind of started that relationship that we had with him, and kind of developed and built into us eventually being able to go to Orlando, Florida, and do the interview with him, meet his fiance at the time, a lot of his team, and that was surreal.
Yeah.
And another component of the other side of Yes, it's like the people that I admired, I looked up to, and that were my role models became my peers. This is what God can do when you say yes. Like the people, preachers that I used to as a kid, as an aspiring minister, watch and study, now know my name. This is what God can do when you say yes. Like, and so I mentioned that because, you know, it was just surreal. Like I was not even a year ago before that, just a fan of his. You know what I mean? Still a significant supporter, a fan of his, just bumping his music, showing it around. And now he knows who I am. Right. We have some sort of rapport. I'm not going to act like we're like best friends with him, but we have a rapport, a mutual respect for one another, for our art, what we create, the work that we're doing for God. And I think that's beautiful. And it's not the status thing. It's not because, oh, like they're famous or have a following or anything like that. But it's just the aspect of the rooms you can find yourself in when you say yes.
Right.
I would have never imagined. It wasn't like I had it on my vision board or my thoughts like, oh yeah, I want to meet this person or anything like that. Now it crossed my mind and would have been nice, but I would have never really thought that'd be a reality for me.
Right.
Or for either of us.
That's crazy.
So yeah, I would say that those are a lot of my favorite moments. It's just like finding my tribe, the moments in between with them associated with the show, and then, you know, being able to have that moment among many. You know, we did The Chosen last year.
Yeah.
Did an interview with Michael Todd. He invited us out to Tulsa for his conference. That was amazing. Like it's been a whirlwind, but in the most positive way.
I have very similar sentiments, bro. I remember on one of those lives, I don't know if you remember this, and I hope somebody listening to this was on that live. John, so he was on the live. I don't know how this came about, bro. John randomly started talking about DJ Khaled. And something about his workout routine. He's like, DJ Khaled been working out for 5 years and they lost no weight. I'm like, bro, you can't say that. I was like, John, you can't say that on live in the public eye, bro.
For those who don't know, John is the Hall of Fame hater of our friend group.
Oh my gosh.
And it is widely known.
Oh, that was unsolicited out of nowhere. That was so funny, bro. I remember we was all like laughing. Like, he was like, bro, John, bro. You
but
can't
no,
say
here was the funny part about it, right? He said it and nobody was feeling the joke. Like the people on live, the people who were on live watching, they were commenting. They were like, bro, like, why would you say that? Like, they were dead serious too. They were like, bro, that was too far. Like,
it was
why,
like, John,
you ain't
bro.
have to say that, bro. Like, that was mean, man. Like, no, it didn't land. Like, it was the wrong
audience, bro. Wrong audience, man.
And, oh my goodness.
That just came to my mind when you were bringing up the lives that we were doing. That was, oh my gosh, that was top tier moments. But in terms of favorite moments, I guess I have two different categories of, like, I have kind of like favorite, I guess, episodes.
Yeah.
A couple, but then I also have like just favorite moments that that the supporters weren't necessarily a part of. You know what I mean? Like trips we took, or like, you know, moments we had with the guys. And a lot of my favorite moments, like you said, are just surrounded around like the tribe that we have, like the guys that we met and the community that we built. Like, I remember that FCA, we took an FCA trip. This was earlier on when we started the podcast. We took an FCA trip. Everybody was there, bro. We had Emmy there, John, Eric, Seth, like everyone was there. Those are just kind of like moments behind the scenes that I don't think we vlogged that or anything, but we went to, it was somewhere out in Tennessee, like in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee. Went to FCA camp. It's just like just great memories that we've built with amazing people that we've met. So I guess that was one of my favorite moments. That's kind of like off camera episodes, like the asking for a friend episodes, bro, will always be Mount Rushmore, bro.
Yeah.
Always, bro. Those episodes were always like, not just.
So, Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like it was very fun. Like, we were really coming with fire and coming with good points and good topics and good conversations that we felt like needed to be heard. But like outside of that, it was just so much fun to have those conversations, bro. Like, we were laughing with each other. Like, it was just, yeah, all across the board. It was just a 10 out of 10 Mount Rushmore moments with the asking for a friend episode. So I think those like favorite episodes for me.
Yeah, I would say all the episodes that we did with John and Eric are my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I mean kind of ties into the whole point of just like the people which have made this what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's made this what it is. So I remember the first episode that we ever did with them was called Audience of One. And yeah, it's just so it's easy to know when it's divine and it's not you. Like whenever we get together, I think that's what made the episode so special, is the fact that what you see is what you get. Like what it was is the same conversation that we always have, that we just kind of went on camera with, and it really resonated. Like those episodes always did extremely well, but beyond that, the fruit of it was so evident. And whenever we're together and in that type of setting, it just clicked. It was like a dream team. You know, it's something that you don't have to, that's chemistry you don't have to practice. Like never once did we talk about who's a mic, who's doing what. It just flowed. And I love those moments. And you know, for those who do remember and were there for that or have had opportunity to listen, I think you all can feel that in what those were. And so yeah, I would definitely say that. And they were our first ever guests that we had on the show.
Facts.
Which was just so fitting, and I would have not wanted it any other way. And the most seen guest ever. And even that first episode we did was dope because we had Seth Weeks. Shout out to our brother. Love you. He was on that one. Yeah. We did a separate episode though, with that, and then Emmy Moore, another good friend of ours.
That was before she was Emmy Moore.
Yeah, no, and it's been so dope to see. No, she was still her.
She was still doing her thing.
She was still her, but it's been so dope to see even her rise. Side note,
most definitely.
In her space and coming more into herself, because it's just kind of like I feel like we've been able to grow up together to some extent, almost. And like seeing her through that, and
it's cool to see.
It's been so amazing, and just to say like she's a friend, you know, like just rooms, relationships, people you're now associated with that, like I keep iterating that because all you have to do is say yes, and I mean that because it's not about perfection. We've made our fair share of grave mistakes during the show. It's not about always getting it right. It's not about having the right thing to say, but it is about giving God everything all the time, no matter the condition, no matter the state you're in, and no matter the season. And I feel that even with the valleys of what the past 3 years has looked like, that's one thing that we've always done, and he's honored that, and he's so pleased with that. And so to me it's so significant because we're just two kids still, honestly, from New Albany, Indiana, y'all.
Man.
Like I just want and it really didn't hit me the magnitude of what God's done in both of us until we went there. We're two kids from New Albany, Indiana that knew no one, had no network, no connections this time 3 years ago. No one knew us. And we just went to Africa for the first time at 22 and 21 years old and did a bucket list thing that most people dream of. Man. And it's all because of God. Yeah. And literally while we're there, you know, I was just telling someone this. I put it on our story that we were headed there and kind of keeping people updated on it. And there was a significant amount of people that were sliding up and saying, hey, come to Kenya. Like love from Kenya. Like we want to see you. Like you're going to be close. And it just hit me while I was there. We were driving up to go to the mountain to start our climb. and they said, yo, look over there to the right of the bus. That's Kenya. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, and it was just like, I knew it was close, but I didn't even know it was that close to Tanzania. And it just hit me, like, I'm in Africa, and there's someone maybe in 100-mile radius that knows who I am. But more importantly, has been influenced, impacted, and has seen the fruit of what God wanted to do through Jordan and I. Like, that's insane.
It is, bro.
And I don't say that with, like, again, I don't say that with pride. It's like, oh, people know me. I don't care about that. It's, look at what God can do.
Yeah.
Like I said, we just said yes. We've worked hard. We've been diligent. We've managed this well, but we haven't worked hard enough for it to look the way that it has. It could have only been the hand of God in every aspect of this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's kind of tangent. My bad. Like,
no, you spin.
We have nothing planned. We're just talking.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's really how I feel. And I think just in culmination, that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is, like, God is the one who promotes. And I remember I was in a meeting for the Cove, and CEO of our group, also my best friend, Eric, which is dope to say. One thing that he said that stuck with me is the fact he said, when it came to the Cove, he said, God wants this more than we do. And I was like, wow. Like, that was really profound. I'd never heard that before. And it sounds so simple, but the thought had never crossed my mind. With how ambitious I am as a very type A person that's super goal oriented and that dreams big and wants X, Y, and Z to take place. My purpose, your purpose, the purpose that he's given each and every one of us to ultimately go out and make disciples, to advance the kingdom and make his name great, he wants it more than we do.
Yeah.
And so he's willing to go the extra mile to make sure that it's in place. Like, he wants it more than we do. To see souls saved, to do a work within you that sanctifies you into the image of Christ, that subsequently empowers you to go and do amazing feats in his name. He wants it more than we do. And so
he does.
It's just like, wow, it takes a lot of the pressure off of everything. And that's one thing that I've had to learn over the past 3 years, as things started to really rise and grow and expand, and you're trying to figure out where the heck it's coming from and why it's happening, and trying to overestimating the part that you had to play in it, and thinking that, oh yeah, it's because of your hard work, and getting caught up in pride. It's like, what's that one verse you like? Like, it's through him, from him are all things.
From him, through him, and to him are all things.
From him,
through him,
and
to him,
are all things. And that's true. It's real, right? If anything, we're a living testament of that. And to see him in that vein over the past 3 years, as I reflect, even right now in the moment, it's so profound to me. It's so powerful, and I'm so humbled and privileged and honored to have been able to experience that, continue to experience that, but just see it in this capacity has been incredible. So,
dang, bro got me in a deep reminiscent state. Like, it's really in the moment, like, just really thinking on everything that we've walked through and been through, and selling T-shirts out the locker in high school. Like,
selling T-shirts out the locker is crazy.
Like, oh
bro.
my gosh! Like, hey, come to my locker. Yeah, I got the shirt for you. You got to buy to come to my locker. Like that. Like, it was like that for real. I brought a separate backpack for the shirts. Like, I don't know, man. It's crazy to think about. The episode, we did 2 episodes with our parents. I just wanted to add that too. This is just on some, like, if y'all haven't seen these episodes, like, go watch them. That's why I'm bringing them up. Yeah. Like, the asking for a friend episodes, go watch all of those. The episodes we did with our parents, go watch both of those. Like, it was kind of like, I mean, they're family, so, like, yeah, but it's like you were saying, it's along the same lines of how it felt with having John and Eric on, it's just
Yeah.
like natural, like you know what I mean? Like these are
Yeah.
conversations like we're having with our parents like all the time. So I think it was really cool. It was just a really cool moment too. Like we built this thing and like, you know, God, we've walked through this path with God. Like, dang, now we have our parents on, and I don't know. It was it was
I
real
almost forgot
sentimental.
about that.
It was
I
a real
almost forgot
sentimental
about
moment.
that. It was super dope to share that moment with
Exactly.
them. Because to your point, you know, if you don't know, and I make this joke all the time because it's such a thing, but we literally do this out of our mom's basement.
Like
we dead do this
we're
out of
actually
our parents'
here
basement.
in the basement right now.
Like seriously, like
Their house.
Basically kind of revamped and
They pay rent. Here.
renovated. No, yeah, they pay everything. Renovated this entire room to
Yeah.
look the way that it does. We got the lights and the cameras and everything else, but beforehand there was nothing in here, and we were doing it. If you can remember, if you go back to our first, maybe about 20 or 30 episodes, we were doing it on a raggedy old black table that was falling apart. The mic stands that we had would literally like engrave in the table because it was so weak, and we had to use cardboard to try and like basically make sure that it didn't like cave in.
Bro, weak table, bro.
This weak table, an interface that barely worked. We didn't know how to use it.
Off the phone camera.
Using the phone for like the first 6 months maybe. And yeah, so it was dope and amazing to see that just have that moment with them. It was our 100th episode.
Yeah.
Which was such a big deal.
It really was.
I mean, it really is a big deal. I mean, we've done a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
But that was huge.
Bro, you dropped out of school.
Oh crap! Yeah. Jeez.
No, I'm just saying, like, bro. I'm just making a point that our parents have been so supportive of what we've done. With just different,
that
bro.
Part. I think that's what I was getting at.
The both of us dropped out of school.
We so it was dope to share that moment with them. Just kind of like full circle moment with that, and yeah, I did drop out of school. Really kind of taking a bet of this being a vehicle that could at some point take me to where I need to go. I think I took a extremely risky bet. I didn't really know how risky it was at the time because I didn't know how hard it was going to be, or I didn't really know what the success that we were having, how abnormal it was. And so took a bet on the show, a deeper bet on myself, and I think it's paid off extremely well. And I wouldn't have changed it for the world. But in that, you know, you don't have many parents who are going to support their kid in wanting to quit school.
Right.
That was being paid for, by the way, that I don't advertise a lot. But to make or add insult to injury, I was going to college completely free at an amazing university.
Yeah.
And saying no to that opportunity to take a bet on a mic and a camera.
Man.
In a raggedy old table.
Mic and a camera.
Not many people would just be down with that.
Right.
And they were so supportive. You know, of course, they, you know, laid the hammer and the law down of this is what it needs to look like and X, Y, and Z. But nonetheless, they allowed us space to dream.
Yeah.
I can't think about it too much or talk about it too much because then I'll get emotional. I'm a crier.
Oh my gosh.
We'll get there. But
that can become a whole episode.
For sure.
Bro.
Me and Jordan
especially after we just got back from Africa.
Yeah, me and Jordan and I had that epiphany, maybe not even epiphany, but we just had a really simple, short, but deep conversation about that, and that's what it was. I think we were trying to find the words of what they did for us or have done for us the past 3 years, because we were talking about our old apartment that we were at, and how like at some point we were struggling to pay rent, and our dad, with no hesitation, like took care of us every single time. Yeah. And, you know, we were like, without them, we would have been homeless. We wouldn't have had, we would have been so lost. Yeah. Just like kids trying to figure out the world and not making willfully ignorant mistakes, but just figuring it out, you know, just trying. And them understanding that and giving us grace in that and just allowing us to stay afloat just by their support in every way, financially, emotionally, spiritually. it means everything. And so, yeah, having those moments, that episode, and then we did another one with them. I can't remember when.
Yeah, I don't remember when either. Yeah,
it was not too long ago.
Yeah.
I love that too.
It was good, bro. You got me thinking about what was on this wall before we painted this. This is random, y'all. We just kind of going all over. What was on this wall?
It was a portrait of both of us. It was like our faces.
Yes, I remember that.
And it was the acronym under it because it was from J. Cole and Dreamville, and it was it said FS. No. FM.
No,
SL.
no. It was the money sign.
Oh, yeah. So it was F, a money sign, and then it was an S, but I think it was love.
And then a heart.
A heart. It was a heart. Long story short, the real translation, I'm not gonna actually say it, but it's F money spread love.
That was the motto, man.
But that was really
the motto.
It is
the motto still.
And it's still the motto. It was because I remember AHA has this line and it says, if it was all about money, I definitely wouldn't be doing this. And I've always stood by being so true to the art of what this is. And I think that if there's one thing I can say about the entire show is that, yeah, our hearts were always there.
For sure.
Like, even in times where we didn't want to do it and it got difficult, as it naturally does with anything you're pursuing. It doesn't matter what it is or how much you love it. That's just the course of, or the cycle of a dream in work. But outside of that natural progression, our heart was always there. And it was always about until all have heard, and just wanting to have the biggest impact possible on as many. Actually, the numbers didn't matter. To have the biggest impact as possible, no matter who listened or how big it was. The beauty about this show is we never imagined that it would be what it was. Like, people ask me all the time, and I just had this conversation last month in June, right before we left, about, so what was the formula? What was the plan? Like, how did you turn this into a career, like what it is now, or as it's getting there? And I said, I never wanted this. To my point of God wanted it more than we did. I never started the show and said, okay, yeah, this is going to take us to Africa one day.
Right.
Or this is going to give me the opportunity to meet X, Y, and Z.
We was just doing it.
Or this is going to be what's going to put my face in front of hundreds of thousands of people. I didn't care about it then. I still don't care about that now.
We was just doing it, bro.
Neither of us do.
We were just doing it, man.
And then, two, we just said yes. And it was really that simple. And it's the most cliche thing ever. And I used to hate that answer. And it doesn't suffice for most people, but when I say that was it, it was like there was no plan, there was no strategy. And I remember when we were talking to Mike Todd, one thing that he said, I don't know if it was in the episode or the conversation me and Jordan had the opportunity to have with him after, but he said, when God's hand is on it, you don't need a marketing plan.
Right.
Now, of course, have a marketing plan. Be diligent, be responsible, steward well.
Yeah.
But the principle or the wisdom there was, if it's his, he is going to take it where it needs to go.
Yeah.
And it's that simple. So I think that's also the beauty of all of this. Again, it seems as if this is kind of having a theme, but I think I set the tone, and it was prophetic in a sense of talking about the other side of yes. That's really where it all comes from, honestly. And so, yeah, do you have any more favorite moments by chance?
Oh my gosh. I have, man, it's really hard to choose one. I remember when we went to which we did make a vlog about this. We went to Atlanta. It was the Holy Smoke Fest. I think was it called Holy Smoke?
Yeah.
I remember we did a panel, and not that I didn't know we were doing it, but I just didn't know what to expect. I was really nervous doing it. And I remember just feeling so like unqualified to be up there talking, because the nature of the panel, the questions was, I guess, centered around like how to, gain traction on social media and marketing plans. Kind of like that was kind of like the nature of the conversation, which I guess, we had done well, like, getting a following up at that point. But kind of like you said, we was just doing like we had consistency in God, bro. And that's it. We had consistency in God. So they're asking about all these details. I'm like, bro, I don't even remember what I said. I think I gave some good knowledge. Obviously, I'm joking to an extent. Like, we had good stuff to say, but I remember being up there feeling very unqualified. But also after the fact, I was like, dang, like, I'm really here. It was one of those moments like, man, like,
for sure,
I'm in this room right now with the mic. I'm not sitting in the crowd. I'm with the mic in this room. Like, that's crazy. So that was definitely, and that was just cool. We got an Airbnb with the guys. Like, that was just that was a good trip. That was a good trip. Go watch that vlog if y'all ever watch his Holy Smoke vlog. Chosen Con was amazing when we went to Dallas. That wasn't that long ago. Transformation Conference. Those are just some of my favorite moments for sure.
I think some favorite episodes. Do You, They'll Adjust. Was super. That was very special.
That's a good one.
I feel like we had so many. Honestly, I think especially our first year, it was just like it felt like we were the dream team. Like we couldn't miss.
We wasn't missing, bro. It was heater after heater.
We really even since then haven't really missed. And I say that just in terms of like putting our best foot forward and just having conversations that I've always wanted. The goal was to change the world. I feel like we hit our criteria. It wasn't about numbers or how it was received. It was just, all right, what do we think we know we did and how much of it that we put into it? And yeah, it was special. It was like, I remember I just saw this guy named Ray. I may have been seeing him. It depends on what side of TikTok or you're on. He's like, I don't know if he's from Japan. I can't remember.
Taiwan.
He's from Taiwan, and he got famous because he was on Kai Cenat's stream, and they become friends and built a relationship. So Kai's been over there, and then Ray's been over here or whatnot. But they were putting in the comments, they're like, yo, he's having a generational run right now on TikTok. That's kind of how I feel about the show, honestly, and really that first half of it more than anything. I feel like it was so... We were so in it, we'll never really know what was happening. And we were so naive to the impact that we were having and what was going on that we'll never truly know. But, in hindsight, with a glimpse, it was super special. And that was amazing. So, yeah. But any lessons, though?
Yeah, I think... my biggest lesson, because I was really thinking on this. This is my like real what's the word? I was really contemplating on this main one. I've changed so much as a person in the last 3 years, bro. Bro, my gosh, bro. I don't think I understand. So I was 18 when we started the podcast. I'm 21 now. Like it's been 3 years.
Wow.
Compared to where I'm at now, and I still have a lot to learn, and there's definitely still a lot of like, just ignorance, like stuff you don't understand, you don't know because you haven't faced it yet. But dude, compared to how I felt when I was 18, dude, I feel like Morgan Freeman, bro.
Yo, Morgan Freeman is crazy.
I feel like the wisest dude. No, I'm trolling. I just think
Freeman's
I think in terms of just who I am, like it's just even in my own skin, bro. I don't think I understand what the podcast has done for me, bro. Like I feel so much more confident. Like when we started the podcast, I just felt like
probably floating.
Just floating, man. Just floating. There was a lot of like there was a lot of comparison, bro. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if I've ever even had this conversation with you, but like just you being my big brother, bro. You were all it was kind of like that trope you see in like movies, I guess. Like you were always so amazing, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? You always got grades, bro. You were a star basketball player, moved school, like all these things. And there was just a lot of comparison I always had when I was younger. And that's something through the podcast, I just got over, like, especially doing it with you. Like, it was like I had to face it, and I had to get over it and recognize that anytime you're doing anything with anyone, and like in terms of like collabing or coming together on one goal or one project, there's always something that you're going to bring to the table, that they're going to bring to the table, however many people it is. And that doesn't make what you bring or what they bring any less or greater than. Like there's no levels. Like they're both so vital and important to whatever this thing is. And I think that's something that I had to learn with the podcast as well. That's why, I mean, I just really felt like I became my own person. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So I think when you're walking with God, it's so weird. I think it's less about the destination and more about you. I think it's less about the scenery and what's happening on the exterior and more about what's happening on the interior. Like, bro, I've really changed so much as a person. I've grown so much. I'm so much more confident in who God says I am. And that's been the biggest lesson is like who I've become. Like that's been the biggest lesson. And from this point on, whatever I walk into, realizing like, dude, it's not even about this. Like, it's not like whatever the thing is, whether it's music, it's a podcast, you're in school, you're going to be bro, whatever path God has you on, it's not even about that thing. Like it's about what he's trying to get into you and out of you in that season. That's literally all it's about. Into you in the sense of like the thing, the attributes he has that he wants to incorporate into your life to make you more like him. And also the things that need to leave in the sense of the things that you need to give to the world, but the things that you also need to throw away. Like, so that's all it's about, bro. It's about what's coming out of you and what's also getting into you. And that's it. That's not even about the thing. So I think that's definitely been the biggest lesson. And like, damn, I'm getting sentimental, bro. I'm getting sentimental. No, but real talk, like genuinely, when I really think about it, when I say I felt like I was floating, bro, like I didn't really know who I was whatsoever. And it's like, there's definitely still moments where I'm confused and I'm like, I don't really know what this next season looks like. Yeah. But in terms of who I am and like my identity, I just think it's just been so much more solidified and I'm so much more confident. Even like when I go back and listen to old episodes, like even in the way that I speak, like I feel like I even sound just more confident in what I'm saying. Before, it just kind of felt like I was saying stuff and I was just unsure of it. That's how it felt, at least. I don't know if that's you know how you guys perceived it. I don't think it was, but from my end, it just felt like I was saying stuff and I was so unsure of it. And now it's like I'm saying things and I'm confident in it. And so man, that's the biggest lesson for me. Just like who I've become through this entire journey, and what God's gotten to me. It's been great, bro. It's been great.
That's powerful. Like that, and you wouldn't know this and some of y'all may have heard it, but I did an episode not too long ago, and it was, what was it called? I think it was, This Is Why God Makes You Wait, or maybe I can't remember the title of it, but it was basically talking about the fact that God cares more about the work that he does in you than the work that we do for him. And I did tell you a little bit about this, but it was just the idea. It's not about what, it's about who.
Right.
And it sounds so simple, but I have that same revelation, and full circle with all of it. That's it. Like, even no matter what the result was of this,
oh my gosh,
like what happened in like
that
it didn't really matter. Like if this would have even flopped or like plateaued or anything else, the work that is done in me can never be taken away.
Ever. And
the irony of it is like the work that has been done in me, that continues to be done in me, is going to be the reason for the success that I will continue to have.
Right.
So it kind of works in tandem. You can't have one without the other. Like you need the work that's happening in you to then determine like what the season is going to look like, what is life going to bring, and how you're going to walk into that. And so, yeah, like, we're talking a lot about, I'm glad you mentioned this because it's a good kind of just balance and contrast of it. We talked a lot about kind of what's happened externally, which has been amazing, but more than anything, what's been brought out of us mentally, spiritually, emotionally has been more valuable than anything.
Yeah.
Like if none of that wouldn't have happened, we would still, the same passion, conviction, joy that we have right now, it'd still be the same. The level of excitement about what is going to be next because of what God put us through and pruned us in, it wouldn't have really made a difference. Like like that that was it. To your point, like the confidence piece, the focus, understanding adversity, like learning to be a man,
Oh man,
a leader, a communicator, a
So
better
much,
brother, friend, business partner. I mean, that's what all of this is about anyway. Outside of all the glitz and glams of what social media wants to portray, what the world wants to tell you is important, or even people in this particular quote unquote Christian space, none of that matters.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, it's so interesting. Like, do you think God really cares? Like,
Genuinely, bro.
like, yes, he wants people to know who he is, and he's gonna make sure that happens. But does he really care about how many people know your name? And not that he's trying to hide you, and not that he doesn't want your gift to be known, because of course we understand that he doesn't want our light under a stand. But do you think it really matters to him how many followers you have, or the rooms that you're getting into, or the people that you have to meet? Now, he wants that to happen for you because of what he needs to get through you and the places that he needs you to go. It's not that it's not significant, but it's just not the main priority. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's not that that stuff isn't important or doesn't matter. Collaboration, partnership, exposure, open doors, amen. But stage stable,
Right.
what we talked about not too long ago. It's really what happened behind the scenes. I mean, that's where you're gonna spend most of your time, right? Like we talk about, you gotta think about, we talking about the last 3 years of our life. Not even a fraction of that was spent on camera with y'all. Think about that.
Yeah.
3 years.
3 years.
200 or so episodes. And that's why most of our favorite moments are what happened off the camera.
Off camera.
This was stable work. What the world didn't see. What no one really knew about. The private struggles, pain, valleys, no one will ever really know. That's what the last 3 years were.
Yeah.
The private victories and triumphs that won't be publicized, vocalized, and really aren't for people to know. Like that was the last 3 years. And so I emphasize that to say it's like it's the work that he's doing in you. That's what matters most. Like literally, you just break it down into like basic practical time. The last 3 years have been 3 years of just life. Like this has been a fraction of it. Like sitting here right now on this mic has been not even, I wish I would have done the math beforehand. I mean, like, it would be too hard. Like 200 episodes, 30 minutes. Like that's not a lot of time.
That's not, dude.
It all happened after all of this goes off. No one knows what's going on. No one can see it. And that's when the test happens.
That's when it happens.
And that's when, that's when you're battle tested.
Yeah.
Tried by fire, purified.
Yeah,
Take
bro.
whatever you desire. Lord, here's my life. I wanna be purified. Purified. Take whatever you desire. Lord, here's my life. Make me beautiful, make me lovely, make me righteous, make me holy, make me beautiful, make me lovely, make me righteous, make me holy, make me beautiful, make me lovely, make me righteous, make me holy, make me beautiful. Yeah. So that's it, man.
Yeah.
It's the work. So I think that's the biggest lesson. It's really
For sure.
You're and you may have another lesson, and I'll kind of end the lessons with this. I think I talked about this on the show maybe a little bit, but your gift won't be the reason you won't make it. If we understand our gift isn't ours and it's a piece of who he is, that means there's no flaw in it. It means it's good.
Mm-hmm.
So if the gift is good, then what is it that's keeping you from what's next? It's not the gift. It's your character.
Mm-hmm.
It's your habits. It's your daily disciplines. It's you.
Yeah.
It's the condition of your soul.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's one thing that I've also realized is that you can have success without anointing. You can continue to rise in whatever industry, whatever sector, in whatever way, and God's hand not be on it.
Mm.
Our gifts are without repentance. So you can take this gift, manage it well, however you do, and your character still not be there. Your heart still be far from God.
Yeah.
They can be mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's all about your heart, and that's really all that matters.
Mm.
Everything else is just added and just a cherry on top, right? So just having a heart posture. I remember when there's an instance in the Bible when God sends out the disciples and they go out and they're casting demons out, healing the sick, preaching the gospel. They come back and they're geeked, right? I mean, they feel like they got superpowers, and he's like, yo, chill out. Be more grateful or have more joy that your name is written in the Lamb's Book of Life. So that's what I mean by, like, it matters to God, but what's his priority? Be of good cheer, be of more joy. Yo, yes, you just spoke to thousands of people. Yes, you just led that Bible study group. Yes, you're a light in your particular company. Yes, you just got that promotion. Oh, yes, you're being elevated in this particular sector. Oh, yes, you just got that position. Oh, yes, now you're a head State Department of this government or doing X, Y, and Z. Or, yes, now people know your name in this capacity. That's amazing. Necessary. Important. But not the priority. Even with all that, there should be more joy in the fact that he came down, humbled himself in the form of a man, and died for you and me. If that's not full circle, I don't know what is.
Yep.
That's it. All that's great. Appreciate it. But have more joy that you have relationship with the God of the universe. And honestly, without that, none of the rest of the stuff matters anyway. Just to call it what it is. It's nice, but it's all vain. It's empty.
Yeah.
So, do you have another lesson?
No, that was the main one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to maybe quick highlight or synopsis of Tanzania?
Oh man. I can get into I'll get into really just the main takeaway for me. Like we went.
Hold on, I got you. I want to break it down. For those who don't know, we partnered with an organization called Compassion, and Compassion is a nonprofit whose mission is to end child poverty in Jesus' name. And so what they do is they partner with local churches across the world to essentially help get children sponsored, so they have resources they need to go to school, to have clothing, to have food, basic necessities, and basically put them in a better position for them to live comfortably as a child and grow up in a nurturing environment as much as possible. And so that's what they do. So they primarily do child sponsorships in the sense of they get people across the world to sponsor a child for, I think it's like maybe $30 or $40 a month. But along with that, they also raise money for different needs in different communities. And so they partnered with us, and they wanted to send us to Tanzania, Africa, to climb Mount Kilimanjaro to raise awareness for the people of Tanzania and help fund a project that they're working on to help build 4 homes in the area for families that have been affected by disaster. So that's the campaign or fundraising campaign that we have been on, and the reason that we were in Tanzania. And so we got there, and this all happened a week and a half ago. It's when we left. It's like the last part of June. And the first 3 days of our trip, we went and we visited the projects that Compassion works on. So we went to see the children that are part of their program, what they were learning within their schools, what they were being taught in their Bible classes. We also went to see a survivor program that they have where they help single mothers nurture and teach them how to raise their babies. And we also went to the headquarters of Compassion in Tanzania to see the work that they do on the ground day to day in terms of the operations and like the more technical side of things. And it was amazing. And then after our third days, when we started the trip or our climb on the mountain, and we were there for 6 days. And so that was kind of like the reason we were on the trip, and also kind of what it looked like in general.
Yeah. Oh man. First time out of the country, man. I learned so much. Actually,
Oh snap! Is that on?
So yeah, first time out of the country, first time in Africa. I learned so much, actually. I think on the last day we were there, actually a couple hours before we left for the airport back home, I made sure I journaled everything while I was still there in Tanzania, so it was all fresh in my mind, and just so I can think on it when I got back. I ended up having like 3 pages of just journaling like thoughts and just stuff I observed and things that were just interesting to me, conversations I had, people I met. But the main takeaway for me, which is crazy how this is kind of like the last thing we did as like, just different, because it felt so full circle. Because I think I had experiences and had conversations that I really needed to hear going into this next season. Because like you said, there's a lot of like uncertainty, like there's certainty, but there's also uncertainty. There's certainty in the sense that, okay, I feel like I'm led to go in this direction, but there's uncertainty in the sense of like, once I take that step, I don't know what it looks like. So it was just really encouraging, and God is just so good, because my main lesson just came through the conversations that I was having with people. And this is what we all kind of sat down with a group of people we went with. We were with 12 people, and we were just kind of going through what we learned. And this is what I said to them, because it's like really the main thing that stuck with me is the biggest thing that stuck out to me was just the people that I met, and more specifically their stories. I noticed a common thread in like all the stories that I heard of these people that ended up where they were at. And it was just this common thread of like redirection, right? It's like all of these people ended up where they were at, seemingly in a place where it's like, this is where they're supposed to be. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this feels like final destination. This is where God wanted you to be. This feels like it's what it's supposed to be, right? These people are in these positions, seemingly, right? And you hear their stories, and it's like, dang, they had like 3 different jobs before they had this job. It's like they started here, quit that, went over here, did that for a little bit, and now they're here. And it's like, dang, that gave me so much reassurance, because with the podcast and even with the music in a way, it doesn't feel like the end game. I don't know how else to put it into words, but when we started the podcast, I knew it was something that I was supposed to be doing, but it and this is something we've talked about before, like it never felt like you said earlier as well, like the thing, it never felt like this is the end, like this is it, just this podcast is what I'm gonna be doing for the rest of my life. It never felt like that. It felt like something I was supposed to be doing in the season in that moment, but that was that. And that was kind of confusing, but it's like, yo, God's calling me here, so I'm doing it. And that's how I kind of feel with the music too, like, which we were talking about the other day. I don't know exactly what I said, but you were like, dude, like, how do you feel about the music? I was like, no, I just feel like I'm supposed to be doing it right now. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm going to be doing music for the rest of my life until I'm doing nothing. Like, it doesn't feel like that with music either. But that's what was so reassuring about these people's stories. Is like they were doing what they thought they were supposed to be doing, what they felt led to be doing in that moment. And that was that. And then God redirected them once they got to a point where it's like, I don't know, like I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something else. And they went that way. And they went that way. And then they ended up where they were supposed to be. And that was like like I said, everyone I talked to, like every single person, not a single person's story was exempt from that. One of the main people that I was the most encouraging from was this guy, Brian. He was like he works at Compassion. He was like the head of this entire trip, right? Essentially he was like the group leader, I guess. And he's seasoned. I think he's like in his 50s, and it was really encouraging hearing that from him too, because when I saw him operating, I'm like, this just feels like what you were meant to do, bro. Like, this feels like You were built for this.
Yeah.
And then we were sitting at the table one day, and I found out bro used to be a pastor. I'm like, what? He used to be a pastor, and he was like, yeah. I just realized that's not what I was supposed to be doing. Stopped being a pastor. He started going on tours like with artists. He was doing that for a little bit, and that's how we got introduced to the compassion. Then he ended up where he was at. It's like, dang. But it's at the end of the day, I also feel like each one of those moments and seasons was so vital for him in the same way that this season was so vital for me. And who I became at the end of it is so important, and it's going to be needed for the next thing that I walk into, and so on and so forth. And I think it was the same for him. Like, he was a pastor. He needed to learn some of those lessons and things that he walked through for the next thing he did. He was touring. He needed to learn some of those lessons and things that he was doing for the next thing that he did. And now he's here with compassion. So yeah, it's kind of a tangent, but that was the biggest thing for me. It's just like, we have some misconceptions sometimes. At least I do. It's like it's point A, point B. I'm supposed to be doing this thing. I do it, and then I'm supposed to have it all figured out, and that's supposed to be my career and white picket fence, start a family, da da da. It's like, that's not really how it works. Like, sometimes people are like, 5 years old, I want to be a policeman, and they do that, and that's it, you know. And I'm grateful. Hey, I'm happy for them. I'm happy that they figured it out and they did it. But for some people, that's not how it works, and it takes some redirection and figuring things out and trying different things out. So that was really encouraging for me. So that was really the main takeaway. There's so many other things I can get into, but that was the biggest thing for me that I took away from it, that I felt like God was specifically speaking to me about, right, for next season. So yeah.
Yeah. Then you go tell him, can you get to work a little later, or Jordan's got to go to work. So, I'm not.
Yeah, no, it's 3:40. I gotta leave, bro.
I'm not editing this.
I gotta leave.
You can't tell him you need just a little more time.
That's not really how it works, bro.
I mean, you gonna have that job. This is the last episode. This will be no more after this.
All right, bro. Let's we're good. I'm good.
All right. It ain't gonna be that much longer. While he's doing that, and then check that camera too. Sorry, y'all. We've never recorded this long, so we don't know what the capacity of what our devices are. But Africa was amazing. It's cliche to say it, but like, I'm still trying to find the words, and
yeah,
it really was life-changing. Like, there's no other way to describe it. Like, people say that for a reason when they mean it, and I mean it, and it was so real, and it's so felt, and I'm still feeling all of it, and I will forever. It brought me back to where I needed to be. Like, I felt as if it was a real restoring trip for me, and not just bringing me back to a place where I was at, but even better than the best version of myself, and where I knew God had me. And so it was just incredible. One, just getting an international perspective for the first time ever. Of course, like, you always understand going out to the nations. And I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was telling them, like, traveling was always just a thing that you were supposed to do, right? It's just like, oh yeah, like, I want to go out the country. I want to go to like Greece, France, Paris, etc. But you never really know the impact that it's going to have on you, and why it's so important to do so. And I think I was so glad to get that experience, because now all I want to do is travel. Mm-hmm. But it's not just for the glitz and glam to say, oh, I've been to X, Y, and Z country, but it's just being able to have a shared experience other than your own, and be able to see people in different contexts and different shifts culturally and all of that. But it was beautiful. Shout out to the people of Tanzania. We got some supporters and listeners that live there, and just in East Africa. It's a beautiful place, beautiful people, and it felt like we were home. Yeah. In the sense of like being African American, and you know, knowing that that's to some degree where our roots are. Maybe not Tanzania specifically, but of course the continent. A lot of people were. It was funny. It felt like it was a welcome home party. A lot of people were extremely accepting, and were like asking us where we're from. We said, you know, Kentucky and the USA. They were like, no, where are you from? Like, where's your father's from? Like, they were so intentional and initiative about trying to figure out and just welcoming us to like our home for the first time. And that was beautiful as a black man. And also it was funny because I remember when we went to go see one of the projects, we went to go see the kids, and the translator was saying that the kids, like, they were confused because we were black, but we didn't know the language. Like, we didn't speak Swahili because I don't think they necessarily see a lot of African Americans that come there. Maybe like, you know, people who are like white missionaries to some degree, so they clearly aren't from there, but they just saw that we were black. And so they initially had thought like they were coming up to us and speaking Swahili, and like we just looked like deer in headlights. And it was so funny, but it was sweet. And it was also interesting realizing how much you can still communicate with people even with a language barrier. And so even while we were there with the kids, we got to play with them for a little bit. We played soccer, and like we threw tennis balls and everything else, just kind of just spending some quality time with them outside and kind of getting introduced to their world to a degree. And it was just amazing how much we were still able to connect, although we had no idea what each other were saying. And so that was beautiful. And then, shameless plug again, that Chick-fil-A money you got, just put it toward the film. Just donate.
Please,
and I mean it. And I mean it. Like, and being able to see the work that organizations are doing across the world that's so needed and necessary was so encouraging and eye-opening, because, you know, typically it's just like, all right, donating and giving money to people across the world that may be in unfortunate or less fortunate position to you is just what you're supposed to do. Again, same with traveling. It's just something that you do. But being able to see how it's actually affecting and changing these kids' lives, like in person, like hearing it from their own mouths, it's like, oh, wow, like, yeah, it may just be a small thing that you do like online and it just transfers to your bank account to this particular fund or whatever, but it is actually tangibly affecting people day to day. And so that was beautiful. And that was just like the theme of the first 3 days, and just also just being appreciative and realizing one thing that I mentioned is like, they don't live as people who are in need or lack anything. Like, they're so present and have so much joy, because I found myself almost not in an arrogant or prideful way, but having pity in the sense of, wow, like, I wish that they were afforded the amenities that I'm able to live in every day. You know, just like having electricity, just the basic aspects of my life. But then I stopped myself and said, yes, that would be amazing, but simultaneously not looking at them in a way that they're I don't want to look at them in a way they're not looking at themselves. They don't look at themselves or their lives. Like, yes, like, of course, I'm sure they want things to be better and everything else. So not dismissing that, but there's still such a level of joy that they possess, long story short, in their demeanor, in their approach, in their lifestyle, in their relationships. And it's beautiful. So that was just such an amazing highlight from those first 3 days. And yeah, so donate if you love us. It's good ground, and it's amazing. But excuse me. So yeah, I mean, dang, there is so much, and we can't even really get to it.
Like,
man.
it could really be its own episode. That's how much I feel like I could say about everything that we experienced.
But that's like one of the overall things. Yeah. The people that we met while we were there, like the people of Tanzania were beautiful and amazing. Shout out to Lucas.
Oh man.
Shout out to Mary. Yeah. Those are some of our guys. Shout out to Freddie, and shout out to Lucy. Shout out just those amazing individuals. And then the people that we were on the trip with, like our compassion people, were just amazing. Shout out to Brian, Lori, J Mike, Kelsey, the compassion team, along with Alexis and Brian Cole, Maya, Shama, I think that was the crew.
Rachel, Rebecca,
the twins, oh my goodness. Rachel and Rebecca shared such a life-changing experience with them. They'll be friends forever. So that was beautiful, just hearing their stories and being there with them. And yeah, and then the mountain, of course, the mountain itself was jeez, it was climbing that mountain. So for those who don't know, Mount Kilimanjaro is the highest mountain in Africa at 19,351 feet. It is one of the 7 summits of the world, and that means that you can explain it. Well, I'd always do it I don't do it. I guess I don't know what it is.
Bro got it down to the exact footage. Bro climbed the mountain and then did his research. He said,
Bro,
"Yeah, everybody's going down." I didn't know the exact footage.
That could not
But
be right. I'm not exactly
Where'd you leave
sure.
off of? Yes, it's the highest freestanding mountain in the world. It's one of the 7 summits. So essentially, what are the 7 summits is? It's the tallest mountain on each continent, right? So obviously, Mount Kilimanjaro is the highest mountain on the continent of Africa. So it's one of the 7 summits. And it's a pretty big deal. I think going into it, I didn't know the exact piece about the 7 summits, but that's the thing. Like when we were on the plane, even going to Kilimanjaro, Tanzania, Kilimanjaro, yeah. A lot of the people there, that's what they were doing. Like they had hiking gear. You can tell the guy sitting next to us. We asked him, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm climbing Mount Kilimanjaro." Oh, that's crazy. That's what we're doing too.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty big deal. Like that's a tourist attraction for people going to Tanzania, specifically that area. So it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I don't even know how else to put it into words. Very rewarding because of that. But yeah, bro, it was sleeping in tents. It was 6 days total, like Darin said. I never even slept in a tent and camped at all.
So y'all, I don't think y'all
very
realize,
foreign.
like, so we didn't know what we were exactly getting into.
We know a little bit,
like
but
we knew that we were. So originally, when they presented the idea to us, I was really hesitant because I was like, I've never raised money before. I don't think I can do it. But at some point, I said, you know what? I want to see God in places or situations that make me uncomfortable. So I said yes. And at first, I thought that we were just climbing, like,
like it's a mountain, but
a hill. I thought
it's a mountain.
I think a mountain, sure, but
it's gonna take a couple
maybe
days.
1 or 2 days.
Yeah, a couple days.
Like take some nice pictures and dip. But no, like this is this is one of the hardest things in the world to do.
This was like difficulty level so high you forget to take pictures. Like that's what this is.
I didn't even get the opportunity to document anything because it was that like strenuous.
Exactly.
But, so yes, the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. Now, so it was a 6-day climb. The first 3 days were honestly pretty light.
It was cool.
You were just gaining elevation, essentially,
slowly
kind
but
of getting
surely.
you to that point, slowly but surely.
Man, but let me tell you about that summit night. That last day, man.
So the first 3 days, you're basically just getting to the base of the mountain.
Yeah.
You're getting to the base of the mountain, and the base of the mountain is like the last point that you can camp before you start your climb to like the highest peak,
point,
essentially,
yeah.
right? So the first 3 days is just you continuing to climb up and up and up and up to like, 18. Wait, I don't even know what it exactly was. Maybe like, I don't know, 18,000 feet or so.
Something like that.
Just you're getting high enough to where you can camp, and then you go all the way to the top. So that's summit night, essentially. You start summit night at like 12 a.m. at night.
Yeah. Man.
It takes 6, maybe 8 hours to get all the way to the top peak.
Oh, man.
And you start at 12 a.m.
Oh, man.
And so the first 6 hours of the hike, you're completely in the dark. And you're just climbing up this mountain, and it's freezing cold. You got a down jacket on. You got a headlamp on. You're listening to music, maybe, depending on who you are. And you're just trying to, like, take it step by step. And at first, it's actually smooth. And then you just start to, it just catches up to you. Like, the physical acclimate of it all and how just strenuous it becomes. One, because you start to become exhausted because you're just walking for such an extended amount of time. But also, for those who don't know, you're gaining altitude as well. And that's the biggest thing that happens to people on the mountain. It's typically not that it's the most physically challenging thing ever, but you don't know how you're going to respond to altitude because our bodies are not meant to be at altitude of that high. Like it gets more difficult to breathe. You have less oxygen. And so people get altitude sickness. Some people had to turn back because of it. Some people don't finish because of it. And it can really wipe you out. So the more you gain in altitude, especially on summit night, as you continue to go higher to like the final peak, it just kind of starts to weigh on you. You start to feel it. And man, like, y'all, I didn't think I was going to make it.
Man, let me tell you.
I didn't think I was going to make it. You going to tell them about
So he mentioned how you don't know how your body's gonna react to the altitude. Well, let me tell you, my body crashed out.
Oh, snap.
Man, I woke up on summit night and I felt nauseous. I don't even know how to explain it. I felt nauseous. My stomach was on 10. I had a little bit of a headache. So starting off, I knew I was. I don't want to say I knew I was cooked, but I'm like, this isn't good. That I'm starting off already feeling bad. We ain't even started the walk yet. So we start walking immediately. Like we're 20 minutes in. I have to stop to use a restroom. So I'm already behind everyone else because usually on summit night, you just want to get it done as quick as possible. So they have guys that stay back with people that have to use a restroom or take breaks, whatever the case may be. So the group's already ahead of me. I'm like, dang, okay, I'm lone wolf, bro. We gonna have to thug it out. I end up throwing up at some point. My stomach's feeling terrible. I'm not, like I said, I'm nauseous, bro. I end up throwing up at some point. They told me if I should throw up, like, don't stop it. So I was like, okay, I threw up.
Bro was chopped.
I didn't feel any better. I'm like, they said I would feel better. I didn't feel better. I'm like, oh my gosh, bro. So I keep going. I throw up again. But good news. I throw up again. And not to mention, I didn't tell nobody this because it's kind of TMI, but y'all family at this point, so it's cool. I should say it.
No,
I should say it.
Don't.
I'm not gonna say. Okay, I'm not gonna say it. I threw up at any time. Anyways, I threw up a second time. I felt better. That's good news. No, I felt better after the second throw up. I'm like, okay, cool. Like we're good. Like we can make it to the top. But again, mind you, this is over the span of like I'm probably 4 hours in at this point after the second throw up, right? So I was struggling for 3 hours. I was struggling. But I'm like, okay, I feel a little better. I can do this. So keep going. I throw it one more time. And here's the thing, bro. I didn't have any fuel in my body. If y'all understand how your body works, how throw up works, how all that works, you eat to give your body energy. And if you throw it up, you don't have no more nutrients, bro. You don't have no more electrolytes. It's gone, bro. I threw up water at one point. So I'm going off of nothing. My body has zero fuel. So I'm 4 or 5 hours into this point, 3 more hours. I'm like, it was nothing but the grace of God, bro. Dude, I can barely.
It was Jordan and God.
I can barely move my body. Like some of y'all may have been in situations similar to this where you've got like thrown up, you don't have energy. Like I can't. I'm barely moving my body. I'm moving so slow. It feels like I'm like wobbling and stuff. I can barely stay on my feet. It was pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. I had no nutrients in my body. But I ended up making it to the top, y'all. Long story short, after everybody else, but actually like there's like a peak but there's also like a higher point you can get to after the peak. The it's called Gilman's point. It's like the point that you have to get to. That's like minimum, like to get your certificate and stuff to say that you actually made it to the top. You got to get to Gilman's. But then there's actually like a higher point that you can choose to opt out of, or you can go to.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So basically, Gilman's Peak. I have to look at it exactly, but it's like,
it's a couple 100 feet under
the actual.
The highest.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at the picture.
Yeah.
Hold on, I got you. Okay, so look, so basically, like I said, the highest peak is 19,351. Gilman's Point is 18,652.
Right.
So about like 600 or 700 feet more.
Yeah.
To get to like the highest peak.
Highest.
But Gilman's Point is kind of like that baseline,
yes.
like the top of the mountain essentially.
Yeah,
like you have multiple peaks. Yeah.
So I still got my certificate at the end of the day, but I remember. So shout out, bro. He was waiting for me when I got up there. How long was you waiting there?
Not too long.
Okay, so I get up there. Darin's right there. I'm like a familiar face, bro. Because like I saw the group, bro. I left the group 30 minutes in. I haven't seen them since we started, bro. So I'm like finally a familiar face. I seen a couple people here and there throughout the whole. It's a blur. But I'm like, okay, familiar face, see my bro, man. I'm out of it at this point. I don't even remember what I said or what I did. Darin was like, I think he asked me if I was gonna keep going.
Yeah, like, yo, are you going to the top, bro? Like,
I was like, no, what are you talking about, bro? I was cooked at that point. So we took our little picture, sipped my tea for a couple of seconds, and then went back down. And let me tell y'all, going down was like harder than not harder. It was just as
harder, but
it was
just
hard.
as difficult.
It was hard
going
down. Yes. I didn't think so. I wasn't mentally prepared to go down because I thought, oh yeah, you go up, going down is easier. It's not really how it works, especially when your body's depleted and you're already tired from going up. It's equally as hard. So I got down. I was the first one down because, like I said, everyone else went on to like the highest peak. So I was the first one down, chilling. I ended up falling asleep. I don't even know when they got back. I was asleep when they got back. But yeah, man, that was gruesome. That was gruesome. But I got my certificate.
Yes, sir.
I got my proof of picture showing that I
Yeah.
made it up there. So thank God. Oh man. Someone asked me if I did it again. If I do it again, guess what I said?
Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. But no. Yeah. So
man.
yeah, like Jordan was kind of struggling, but he made it. I was super proud of him. Like it's one of those things, again, you really don't know how your body's gonna react to the altitude and what happens, and like that's the most frustrating part, because you can be physically fit. It happens to people all the time. Like you can train for this forever, for a significant amount of times, and get up there, and your body, because of the altitude, you just really never know. Like,
Yeah.
and I'll be honest with you, I didn't train at all for this. I literally got my boots for the mountain the day before at Walmart. I'm not even joking.
Yeah,
like,
oh my gosh,
I was just
that's
kind of
funny,
dug in.
bro.
I'm like, it's just me and God at this point. I'm mentally tough enough to get through it. And again, you don't really need to be in the best shape to do it.
No, not
like,
for real.
It's not
It's-
that physically demanding.
Yeah.
Really, the last day is, but even then, it's more just of like a grind, like a mental push through than anything. But it does get somewhat difficult. But anyways, yeah, it was. I honestly didn't feel that bad. At some point, my stomach was kind of bothering me. I didn't know why, but that was the only thing. But other than that, just thugged it out onto the top. And it was one of those things where, like, when we got to Gilman's Point, which is like the peak, you could see like the highest peak that you really wanted to get to. And tears started coming like down my eyes, because like I was like, yo, I do not want to continue. I do not want to push on. I don't know if I can do this. But it was just like, yo, we've made it this far, and like there's more in me than what I think or can imagine, and I needed to increase my capacity. And so you just kind of keep pushing through. And I remember the guy that I was with, I asked him like, hey, like, is a normal response to cry when you get up there? And he was like, yes. Because as I was getting closer, I just felt the tears. So I'm like, yo, this is the most difficult thing I've ever done, and I don't know if I can make it or if I would. But so it was such a beautiful moment, and there's so many lessons I felt I learned during that. I know Jordan did too, during that particular climb, and like what God was teaching me just so metaphorically through it. And I think what we'll kind of end with, just in terms of our experience, particularly on the mountain, is like there's so much more in you than what you think. And it's amazing what you can do when you have no other option.
Yeah.
Because I say that because, as you're going up the mountain, like you can come down, but the only way is up.
Oh man.
Like you no matter how you're physically feeling, no matter where you are at mentally, no matter what your limiting belief is of what you feel you can or can't do, you have to keep walking.
That'll preach.
And
That'll preach.
you don't have a choice. And so in that, where you would typically turn around in your comfort, if you did have a way to go back, you can no longer do that. And so you keep going, and you realize the extent of what you can actually do when you have no other option. And
man,
you saw that on the way up to the top of the peak, and then on the way back down, because you spend all of your energy getting to the top. You don't really consider the energy you need to get back down to the bottom, because it's a strenuous process. But you do, and you did.
Yeah.
Why? Because you have no other choice.
Man.
You can't stay at that elevation for too long. Like, it's unhealthy for you. Like you could pass out. So you have no choice. No matter how tired you are, no matter what if you really don't think you can physically do it, you're coming back down.
You got to.
You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And so you come back down, and then what was crazy was you do all of that. You go up this mountain, the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. When I say you get to the bottom of that mountain and you are depleted, exhaustion isn't the word.
Bro.
I can't describe how your body is feeling. Mind you, whenever you go up, it's so cold up there that you only can have a certain amount of water with you or it's going to freeze. And you have to have it in a water bottle. So you go up and you drink all your water on the way up, and you have none going on the way down. So most people didn't have any water and any snacks on the way down. So to point out, like, you're completely depleted. I literally had to have people like on both sides of me carry me down the mountain, because my legs stopped working. Like it was that bad.
It was bad.
So I say that to say you get to the end of it, you get back to your camp in your tent, you get 2 or 3 hours to rest, and then you have to get back up and walk 4 hours to get to the next camp, because you have to start again. You can't stay at that altitude.
You gotta go down.
You have to start going down to get to the next camp to sleep for the night. It's amazing what you can do when you have no other option. The other side of yes. Whenever you choose God with no other option, with no plan B, you will be amazed at the heights you can go.
For real.
And how far you can go as well. The capacity to you have and the strength you possess to endure most challenges you think that you would fold under. So there's so many more lessons, and shameless plug for my next show. That's going to be my first episode. I climbed the tallest mountain in the world, and here's what God taught me. And you'll get all that there.
Yeah.
But that's it. Full circle. The other side of yes.
Full circle. That's so crazy. I remember you just reminded me of something, because I said it was really a blur, so I kind of forgot some of it going up. But I remember I was telling myself, because I was struggling like very early on, bro. I really was. But I just kept telling myself, I said, bro, if you just get halfway, like you're gonna keep going. Like if you just get halfway, because like at that point you're gonna have to come down halfway. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like I gotta get at least halfway. 4 hours. Just keep walking for 4 hours, and then you'll keep going. And I think, dude, the guides, I knew that's what they were trying to get me to. Like they could tell I was struggling. I was sitting down every 15 steps. They just know, like, yeah, let's keep going. I remember I got like about halfway, and my guide Eddie, shout out to him, bro, saved my life. He said it's the point of no return.
Jeez.
Word for word. He said, Jordan, you can do this. You've already come about halfway. It's the point of no return. There's no point in going back now.
Jeez.
I was like, I got up, grabbed my walking post, restarted. Kept going, bro. Kept going. It's like you're saying, it's full circle, bro. Like that yes is like the moment of the point of no return, bro. That's what the yes is. It's no. There's no point in going back. Like I have no other choice, and like you said, you will be amazed when you have no other choice what you can do, bro. So yeah, that's full circle. That's full circle.
There, the point of no return. Like that's it. Wow. Yeah. So yeah, that was our trip to Tanzania. A little bit, kind of in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is it. Oh man, look at God. So bro, like, okay, Jordan's really gotta get to work, but we got through what we needed, and this, like, I'm like, it's not really a goodbye, because like I'm gonna be here and you're still gonna be around. Like we're still gonna like talking to y'all, but in terms of this chapter and what it's looked like, God, more importantly, yes, but like we're forever indebted to you all. One thing that I didn't get to talk about or mention is some of my favorite moments were being able to meet you all in person, at the conference, like at random conferences. I'm meeting y'all like in the middle of like airports, like just randomly out and about at grocery stores in different cities, like. Being able to have the opportunity to talk to you all like in our DMs, you all sending us messages and comments about how it's impacting you and what God has done through us to help you in your walk with Christ. Like that is the only reason we do this. It's the only reason that we've kept going. It's the only reason that kept us like fueled most times when we wanted to stop, knowing like what God was doing in us, like in us to just impact your life on a day-to-day in such an influential way. And it's not something that we've ever taken lightly. We never will. We love y'all, like, and it's forever. I don't say that lightly, you know, it's like what you're supposed to say, but like there is a genuine love, and like that comes in the form of like the sacrifices that we've continued to make to show up day in and day out, not just for the camera, but how we're living offline and being integral, going through the process of sanctification, committing ourselves to that. More importantly, yes, for God, but understanding the result and the fruit of it and what it does. And so, man, like, y'all have made this what it was.
Yeah.
Like we talk about the relationships that we've had and built in terms of our inner circle, but like, you know, vicariously just online through this, you know what I mean, through your speakers, through what you're listening to, like every morning, every week, like it's meant everything, and it really is the world. So we love y'all so much.
We do.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just thank you. Like there's nothing but gratitude. We're so humbled. You know, we don't take this position lightly or try to look at ourselves in a higher than we are. We just see it as us all learning together and taking steps to get closer to his heart and what he wants out of us. And so kudos to y'all, you know, just to have a moment like it. Seriously, thank y'all for all the love and the support, the encouragement, the prayers, and just everything. You know what I mean? That's been one of the most significant parts of this journey. And we'd be remiss not to say it. So we love y'all so much. Again, follow Jordan on Instagram. Everything's going to be linked in the description. Follow Immigration just to stay up to date with everything. My show, like I said, it's going to be hosted here. Right now, my plan is going to be launched, and we're going to be back behind the camera on the mic the first Wednesday of September, which I'm extremely excited about. New name, new everything, same mission, same goal, just pointing us to the cross, getting closer to God. Going to have a lot of interesting and amazing guests on, and going to keep doing that. So just stay here, stay following, stay tuned in to the main account, YouTube, the podcast, wherever you listen. Just stay updated on that, but that's what's next. What else? Yeah, Chick-fil-A money, send it to Tanzania.
Yeah, let's do it, bro.
Send it to the people of compassion to do that work. Subscribe, follow Patreon, just to stay up to date on everything else as well, with new updates and everything. And yeah. I love y'all, man. It's been real. It's not the last time, but man. Won't be the last time we're talking, but it's in this capacity, in this chapter. Change is good.
It is. It
Change
is
good. It's difficult. It's not easy, but it's a part of the journey. And we're glad to be doing this well, and doing it with you all too. So it's been an amazing ride. It's definitely not over, and we hope that you continue to walk with us on where these next paths takes both of us.
Yeah.
And continue the story with us. So yeah, it's always love, and you know what it is.
You know.
Stay you.
Stay real.
And stay humble. Much love.
Much love.